guys, it's Megan from Vigilante Vibes, and I'm here with another mutant Marvel character breakdown. And today I want to talk about Alison Blaire, aka Dazzler. Pretty much anyone in the Marvel Universe could turn out to be a mutant, which means there's a huge range of paths they can take. Some, like the X-Men, use their powers to protect the world and their fellow mutants. Others go down a darker path and using their abilities to cause chaos, though those types are actually a small part of the mutant population, and also they are really cool. A lot of mutants just want to live their lives in peace, avoiding trouble. Then there are those who find creative ways to use their powers in everyday life. Take Dazzler, for example. Alison Blaire can turn sound into light, anything from sparkly visuals to full-on laser blasts if the noise is loud enough. But Allie's never been into using her powers for fighting. She's more about putting on a killer show. For years, she's stayed away from the whole superhero scene, even turning down the X-Men so she could focus on her music and her own life. That's part of what makes her such a unique and entertaining character. She even has had her own 42-issue solo comic, and she just wants to be a pop star, which I think is so cool. A lot of comic book characters come about because a writer or artist has a cool idea, but Dazzler's origin was way more planned out. She was actually created as part of a big collaboration between Marvel and Casablanca Records, meant to be a full-blown multimedia star with comic appearances and real music released under her name. Before she became the Dazzler we know and love, she went through a bunch of changes. Her stage name bounced between Disco Queen, Disco Dazzler, before they settled on just Dazzler. Her real name changed from Evelyn Free to Alison Blaire. Even her powers were totally different at first. She was supposed to make people tell the truth, but that eventually evolved into a cool sound into light power she's known for, which I think fits so much better. One of the most talked about changes, though, was how she looked. Originally, artist John Romita Jr. based her on Grace Jones, inspired by her influence on the black disco scene. But Marvel ended up changing her into a white blonde woman to resemble the actress Bo Derek, hoping Bo would play her in a movie or some kind of project. Romita wasn't thrilled with the change, and in the end, nothing ever came of it anyways. Casablanca Records ran into financial trouble, and the whole plan fell apart. That left Dazzler kind of directionless at first. Her comic was only meant to be a one-shot, but when the bigger plans fell through, Marvel scrambled to turn her into a regular character. So her debut wasn't exactly on her own terms. Instead, she popped up in other stories, most notably Uncanny X-Men number 130, where she started to make a name for herself with fans. Uncanny X-Men number 130 dropped right in the middle of the iconic Dark Phoenix saga, but that didn't stop Dazzler from shining. The issue kicks off with the X-Men on the hunt for the newly detected mutant, and the whole setup taps into the same themes of sexual freedom and temptation that were running through Jean Grey's storyline. Jean ends up in the nightclub during the search, which is where she encounters Dazzler for the first time. Even though Dazzler wasn't the main focus and didn't join the X-Men by the end of it, she definitely left an impression. After that, Marvel started weaving her into the universe with some quick cameos, like in Fantastic Four number 217 and Amazing Spider-Man number 203. It was a subtle way to make her feel like a part of the bigger picture without throwing her straight onto the team. She quickly built friendships, pretty casual friendships with other heroes, and even if she wasn't close to them or itching to jump into battles, she knew she could count on them if things got bad. In Uncanny X-Men number 130, there's this moment where she's clearly intrigued and a bit overwhelmed by the wild energy of the club crowd, which becomes even more fitting when we learn the mutant everyone's after is a pop star. From there, the story heats up across issues 130 to 131, and the X-Men clashing with the Hellfire Club and Jean slipping deeper under Mastermind's control. It was an intense arc, but Dazzler still managed to stand out amid all of the chaos. Dazzler's backstory was actually pretty engaging and got a lot more attention once her solo comic Dazzler launched. Allie grew up in a tense household. Her parents were always fighting until her mom suddenly disappeared. Her dad was super strict and had his heart set on her becoming a lawyer. But Allie had other ideas, especially after her mutant powers kicked in during a school dance and she realized how much she loved music. She ended up breaking away from her dad's expectations after college, and they became estranged when she chose to follow her dreams instead of the path he laid out. Once the first issue of Dazzler hit shelves, it set up things really, really well. It gave readers a solid sense of who Allie was, her personal struggles, her ambitions, all while throwing in some big name guests like Galactus and Spider-Woman to draw more attention. Marvel even made the comic a direct market exclusive at first, so it wasn't sold on regular newsstands to make it feel more of a special event. The series started strong with great sales and a fun mix of genres. It had a bit of everything: romance, family drama, everyday life stuff, wild crossovers. It really tried to appeal to as many people as possible, but over time sales began to drop and the book kept shifting its tone and direction. Different writers and artists came and went, which made it tough for the series to really find its voice. Eventually, things took a weird turn when Dazzler decided to try her luck in Hollywood. That led to Marvel graphic novel number 12, Dazzler the Movie, a pretty infamous flop that marked a low point for the character's early days. The book was poorly placed and borderline misogynistic. Though it had one decent plot element, the whole world learned Alison Blaire was a mutant, and her career actually suffered for it. This choice led to the Dazzler series to a tailspin without real direction, the character's supporting cast and core themes having been quickly forgotten, Allie's unique angle as a superpowered music star struggling in the big city had been brushed aside in the favor of generic action movie heroics that diluted the series' identity. It lost relevancy over time and was canceled at issue number 42. With many plot threads being rushed or thrown aside, Dazzler ended with a whimper. Even though Dazzler didn't end on a high note, Marvel wasn't ready to give up on Allie just yet. When her solo series wrapped, they brought her into the X-Men, moving her away from her original stance of wanting nothing to do with the superhero lifestyle. She ended up teaming up with Beast, who's Hank McCoy, and the two even had a short-lived romance in the Beauty and Beast miniseries. Not long after that, she officially joined the X-Men during Chris Claremont's run on Uncanny X-Men, sticking around for about 40 issues. Claremont was known for rescuing underused or overlooked characters and giving them depth, and he did a great job with Allie. He tied up a few loose ends from her solo book, like having her movie The Dazzler, the movie, actually get released, and even built a surprising but strong friendship between her and Rogue. This was especially cool considering Rogue had tried to kill her on a few occasions back when she was still a villain. Dazzler really brought something fresh to the team. She was funny, she had good chemistry with the others, she gave the X-Men a bit of a light-hearted flair. She became one of the several characters whose solo books hadn't worked out, but who found a new life as part of an ensemble cast. She stood out during the Outback era and the whole Mojo World storyline, where she also started dating Longshot, another move that helped keep her from fading into obscurity. Marvel even gave her a new costume, moving her away from the disco jumpsuit and signaling that she was now fully on board with the superhero gig. But her time as a team player came to a halt when she lost her memories and was written out for a while. After that, she popped in and out of various X-Men related titles like New Excalibur, some of Matt Fraction's run, but she never quite reached the same level of popularity or momentum that she had back in the 80s and early 90s. Now, what is Dazzler up to in more recent times? Dazzler continued popping up in various X-Men stories throughout the late 90s and 2000s. In New Excalibur, she even got a surprising new power. She could basically come back to life after dying. Some fans thought it might be a secondary mutation, but it never really explained or followed up on, so it just kind of was there. During that time, she also reconnected with Longshot, but their relationship fell apart again thanks to his amnesia. Over the years, Allie's pop star persona kept resurfacing because it had added a fun twist to her character and gave her some unique challenges. She also found herself working with some unexpected teams like S.H.I.E.L.D. and the offbeat X-Terminators, while It was super brief. She finally made her live-action debut in a Blink and You'll Miss It cameo in 2019's Dark Phoenix, which nodded to her comic book first appearance. More recently, she was chosen to join the main X-Men team in the X-Men Hellfire Gala 2023 one-shot, which was a big deal, especially since it was one of the most diverse lineups of the team has ever had. But in classic X-Men fashion, the celebration didn't last long. Dazzler was killed almost immediately by Nimrod, kicking off the Fall of X event. Thankfully, she didn't stay dead for long and quickly brought back to help lead an attack against Myra McTaggart. In newer developments, Allie was on tour with her mutant band in her own solo series, Dazzler, written by Jason Lowe. He also wrote the Concert of Champions, which centered on her concert and explored how she was processing everything emotionally after the events of her main series, written by the same writer. So yeah, I think she's pretty underrated. The people who like her love her. The people who don't like her don't know her. To know the Dazzler is to love her. She is phenomenal. So, like always, I have some comics for you to check out. Alison Blaire, even better. Eve of Destruction, Extreme X-Men Volume 2, the Dazzler run from 1981 to 1986, Dazzler X Song, Dazzler by Jason Lowe, and Concerts of Champions. So, I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoyed my character breakdown, and I hope you have a marvelous day. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day.